Okay, good evening, everyone. We are live on Discussion Point. Welcome to another episode of Discussion Point with the House Party Queen. Thank you all for joining, those that are joining today. I've got a very special guest today. I've got the lovely Mr. Rudi Lickwood, and I would give him a befitting greeting as soon as he joins the room. But I just wanted to introduce my guest. We've got lots of topics on the table today. We'll be discussing his activities during COVID, what he's been doing on his various platforms, and we've got some other topics that we'd like to put on the table to discuss, such as homeschooling and the state of British terrestrial TV, and not even the state, the lack of black entertainment on terrestrial TV. So we've got some great items on the table to discuss. So without further ado, let me see if my guest is ready to come out of the green room. Let's have a look.
No, I'm not ready. Quick, I've got to put on my things. I've got to beautify myself. I really have.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Mr. Rudi Lickwood. Now, before we get into anything and even the crux of our discussions today, because we've got so much to talk about and so much to get through, I don't even know if an hour is going to be enough for the way that we both talk anyway. But I just wanted to show everybody a video that you kindly provided me with, which basically will give you a little bit of an insight into the ethos of your dear self and how you grew up and who you are, to be honest with you. And I think it will resonate with a lot of people, particularly the way that our parents were of this generation. So without further ado,
the Windwash family, yeah. We are the Windwash family. Come make we sing. We are the Windwash family, yeah. We are the Windwash family.
Was that video running? Because it wasn't running at my end.
You couldn't really caught me on the up there, girl.
Was it definitely running at your end? Because it kind of slowed down for me at my end.
No, it was running fine. Believe it or not.
We are the Windwash family, yeah. We are the Windwash family. Come make we sing. We are the Windwash family, yeah. We are the Windwash family. We are the Windwash family. We are the Windwash family. Whether Jamaican, St. Lucian, Guardian, we are the Windwash family. We are the Windwash family. We are the Windwash family. Whether Jamaican, St. Lucian, Guardian, we are the Windwash family.
But you know wait, oh no answer. We not just come here and no win rush. Long time black people are explorers. All over borders, you know we don't crush. It's like everybody have a self-compass. So anyway we travel now we not get lost. Enough black people kinda superstitious, but the Almighty Father anyway can trust.
Alright, people them are coming from early 50s. Fish and soup and I walk with one grip. Style of walk, no walk and slip. Woman I walk with them and they family. Ready to work and build up a family. With intention for trouble nobody. Hunger want to make for them life get so easy. Husband, wife and a whole heap of fit.
We are the Windwash family. We are the Windwash family. Whether Jamaican, St. Lucian, Guardian, we are the Windwash family. We are the Windwash family. We are the Windwash family. Whether Jamaican, St. Lucian, Guardian, we are the Windwash family.
We got music and laughter, good food and culture. God always there by our side.
You hear?
We got music and laughter, good food and culture, bringing a part of our lives.
This is a message to all the descendants of the Windwash generation. It's time to rise up and change our mindset for a better future.
Oh Oh, what a beautiful intro. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. You really don't know how much I appreciate that intro.
Do you know something? I had it all planned, and I thought that we were going to have us two up on the screen, and we'd have that screen of us, and we'll be dancing.
I
But what
thought,
happened
yeah.
is, well, I tried a little bit of technology with StreamYard and uploaded the videos in advance, but it actually takes over the screen when you do it that way. So it's easier to actually share the video file, and then you can have us on screen too and see our reactions. So for the next videos, I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, because I thought that's the way that you were going to actually do it via, because it was
Yeah, I
you
know.
who showed me that. About See, I got all the technicals. I got all the
Innit? Boasty
technicals.
up the place, and
I
I'm
got all
just
the
failing
technicals.
miserably.
Bossy yourself. But no, that track really does resonate with me, because it was you know, the whole of the Caribbean who decided to come over to England with the intention of making a better life for themselves, you know, and they actually came here with a 5-year plan. Do you know what I mean? Because the streets were paved with gold, as you know.
Well, absolutely. That's what everyone thought. That's what all our parents thought. They come here with thin jackets and all sorts, thinking it was going to be hot and sunny like Jamaica or the Caribbean. And how wrong were they? But in terms of that video, was that a video that's been out for a while, or did you make that video in
That
collaboration
video
with
was
someone?
put together by Audrey Scott,
Right.
and the Reggae Fraternity. They put it together, I think it was 3 weeks ago, just under 3 weeks ago.
Oh
That was
wow,
all
so it's
put
quite
together.
new.
It's fresh. It's fresh off the board, man. Like them was fresh off the
What?
board.
I get
Fresh
do I
off the
get
board.
is this an exclusive
Oh, you're
kind of thing?
It is. It is.
Ish.
It is. It's ish.
Ish.
Because I boss it first. You know what I mean? I did boss it first. So I have to say that, you know. But when the moment that I heard it, and plus seeing all the images, you know, I felt beholden to it. I felt as though, you know, I've got something to live up to. I've got something. I'm extending something.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, like I said, it resonated with so many of us because we all lived that era. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, you know, after our parents are going through all the angst and the backdrop of racist Britain and what they actually had to endure. So totally understand that generation and what they're actually fighting for at the moment. And hopefully everybody will kind of dig deep and give their time to the Windrush generation and some of the atrocities that are going on with the government. But that's not the crux of our talk. And I haven't given you a proper introduction, Rudi.
No, you haven't, have you?
No, I haven't. So let me give you a proper introduction. Please, can we welcome Mr. Rudi Lickwood? He is a highly successful comedian, and you have a long established career of what? Over 29 years.
Yeah.
Your
easily.
achievements include being in the Black 100 Awards for the greatest Black British achievers and picking up a Becker Award for outstanding contribution to comedy. And you've also appeared on numerous TV shows and media projects alike. Your bio actually says, and I'm going to read this, he is a true professional, bringing laughter to life with a super confident, playful personality, oozing charisma. Rudi's infectious charm has made him a desirable commodity. Yeah, those are the words I've read. Now, before I read your bio, I wrote something up about you. I sat there to myself and I thought, what do I feel about Rudi Lickwood since I've kind of met you and worked with you a little bit? This is House Party Queen's bio. Okay.
I hear you.
You are the consummate host. You command presence with your powerful charm, talent, and wit, peppered with dashings of charisma. That's what I wrote.
Peppers, I like that. I like that.
Peppered
because,
with dashings of charisma.
I like peppered because I believe that you know, as a comic, when I'm working, I like to feel as though I'm on a roller skater. You know, the ups, downs. You don't really know where you are. You're spinning around.
Yeah.
You know, one minute is everything's hilarious and you're bubbling away. Next minute it's like you come crashing down because there's a serious thought or there's a poignant moment to be had. And I think it was when I started watching people like Richard Pryor, I realized that he brought theatre to stand-up comedy, which kind of like changed things because I started watching comedy when I was a little bit watching the Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club. Yeah, and I was watching things like called the Comedians, where there was only one black guy who was on there. And these guys used to just stand up in front of a microphone, right, and just chat. They would just chat. They would just chat, and I'm thinking, that's black people don't express themselves like that. We want to tell you about the story. We want include ourselves. We want to do all the mimicry that
and
goes
it's
with
long
it.
and you go round.
Yeah, we go around, and it's not even about getting to the punchline. Sometimes it's like the journey is just as much fun, yeah, as telling the actual joke. So watching the TV, and then I realized later on that it was different. That's why they was doing what they was doing on TV. But watching it on TV, you was just hearing like one joke after another joke after another joke after another joke.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later on did that kind of like resonate with me. But I mean, you know, I guess coming from the kind of background that I was coming from myself, humor was necessary. It basically was necessary. You know, mum brought up 4 kids.
Yeah.
I'm the second. Do you know what I mean? Husband going to work, not really feeling as though he's getting his just deserves in the workplace. So he comes and he expresses his testosterone in the house, you know. So it was a case of my first audience member was my mum, which was cheering her up, you know, nicking the jokes off of the comedians and stuff like that and telling it to her to try to cheer her up and try to make her day brighter.
So do you think that you were a natural comedian? Did it come naturally to you to just start telling jokes and to cheer people up? Or
not really?
Was it some...
No, far from it. Far from it. A lot of people say, oh, I used to have to tell jokes to fend people off. People have to tell jokes to fend me off, right? Because the type I wasn't the class clown. Do you know what I mean? I was nowhere near that because I didn't feel as though I needed to defend myself that way. But what I had was I had a mouth, and I realized, yeah.
We know this, Rudi.
And I realized that it could sway opinion, you know, and I also realized that it could motivate. You know?
And it's good that you use your talents also to benefit other people, that you don't just feel like I'm a comedian, I'm funny, I've got a strong presence and a commanding voice. You're actually using that to, you know, benefit and help, support, make other people a little bit more confident in themselves and going out there also. And, you know, I love that. But one thing I wanted to ask you quickly, and I forgot to ask you this, is that your real name, Rudi Lickwood? Or is it a stage name?
It's the name you're going to get, yeah.
That's it on that?
Well, where do you want to go with it? Where do you want to go with it? You've got your answer. Yeah, you sounded like a journalist now.
I do have a slight background in that, you know. I like to dig a little bit. I'm sorry.
That's why you touched your nose. Do you know why you touched your nose? Well,
I wouldn't be a presenter or an interview if I wasn't. That's what we do. We nose into people's business and we put it out there for everybody. Hopefully, good business. I'm not trying to draw any skeletons out the closet, or if you've got any pseudonym names of your past, of any kind of past life, you know.
There's nothing coming out the closet, darling. Nothing coming out the closet.
Criminal records past 20 years can be erased now, you know, Rudi. It's okay. You can reveal your name.
Is it? Woo! So that stuff with me and the goat, I don't have to worry about. Is that what you're saying? I mean, I got into comedy relatively late in life. I got into the comedy, the whole sphere of stand-up comedy at the age of 28.
Oh, wow. Why so late?
Because initially I thought I was going to have an empire of restaurants all over the UK. That was what I kind of like was heading towards. I thought I'd have my own restaurant, you know. But what I discovered through working in the industry, that because I was a waiter, a silver service waiter, and I used to get some heavy tips from the customers, and it used to piss off all the other waiters. It used to piss off my manager, the back staff. I even got fired at one point because I was given a £50 tip, which I put in my pocket because it was given to me, right? But the thing is,
Stands to reason.
but the thing is, he said, no, the tips are for everybody. It's for everybody. And he goes, but he said it's for me. And he put an extra £5 as well for everybody else. Yeah. But he said that this was for me. And that what I then realized, even unbeknown to me then, was that I was entertaining when I was giving out that food.
Yeah.
You know, without being too intrusive, but at the same time, your presence could be felt.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of me beginning to realize. And it wasn't until Art Blakey, who was a famous jazz musician, walked into the Waverley Hotel and spoke about some guy named Eddie Murphy, who I had no idea who he was. Yeah.
Okay. So before you even get on to that subject, because there's a whole subject on that.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, you started out on the circuit as a Eddie Murphy impersonator, correct?
I started out not as an impersonator. I started out as a lookalike.
A lookalike, I beg your pardon.
Yeah,
so
I started out as a lookalike.
So we have a video that I want to share of you on the stage. I think it was a lookalike competition.
That's right.
Of you doing Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I was at Podium at the time. A lot of people might remember Podium just by Vauxhall. And it was Commander B.
Oh my gosh, I remember Commander B from Choice FM.
Yeah, he's not very well at the moment. So you know, I mean, blessings goes out to Commander B and all of those.
Definitely, prayers to you, Commander B.
As well as big up to Melanik Shabazz, but as well as Paul. You know, there's quite a few of them, man. Role models of mine. But yeah, it was Commander B who decided to put on that show.
Okay, well, let's take a look at that show. Now, I'm going to try and do this a different way so we can have ourselves on screen also. Bear with me a second.
Sure.
While I just go dig deep and get this file for you.
Breathe. Take it easy. It's not easy, you know, because the thing is that you're producing, you're directing, you're presenting, you know, and at the same time you have to read.
Beg your pardon, sorry, Rudi. By the way, just before we even play this video, I just kind of want to make a quick disclaimer, you know, because we don't want to offend anybody on this channel, okay? So the contents of this video might not be for everybody. So please, you know, if you do not wish to hear, you know, some of the language or some of the discussions or what Rudi is displaying in the video, please switch off now and come back in about 5 minutes. But please enjoy, because this is pure entertainment, and this is Rudi at his element doing an Eddie Murphy lookalike competition. If it will play again.
All right, tell us now, what do you do, baby?
Well, I'm actually unemployed, but you can see how far like Channel 4 will go just to find out what I'm doing.
And tell us, your last film that you made.
Yeah, I just recently made my last film, and when I find another pound, maybe I'll take it out of the chemist and shit.
Tell us, what do you prefer, doing stand-up acts or do you prefer acting in films?
Well, I prefer to do stand-up acts. My motherfucking agent was down here. I didn't know what I'm doing down here and shit, but there's always one, isn't there? There's always one.
Oh no. Oh no.
I was actually driving down here this evening, and like the police stopped me and shit, and I saw him do this.
Oh.
I wind down my window, right, and I said, "You're a nasty motherfucker, right? You're nasty. I saw you pop that piece of bogey." Next thing I knew, that fuck said to me, "Pull over." I went, "Okay," got out the car, went straight up to, I said, "I'm black and I'm Irish. No fucking problem." To me, right, confused, didn't know what he did, right? Came up to me and he said, "Yes, sir. There's no problem, but don't you look a bit like..." And I just went, I was down here last week at Podium, right? And like you had a bloke like Capleton who was down here and shit. And like I saw some black woman, right? Some nice black English girl, cause that's my cute. I want some reggae music, right? I saw some black woman, right? And she was like doing this. Like that, right? I went up behind her, right? My dick just went, hey, what's going on right here? What's going on right here? What's up with this? So I went up behind her shit, right? I was like, whoo, what was that? Then she got used to it, and I got used to it too. But I had to go to the toilet, right? And there was a brother in there, he had a gun, right? And he was holding up his gun, and he said, you're gonna suck this star. Whipped out his dick, right? Suck it! Suck it! What do you mean, what happened? What do you mean, what happened? Well, no gun went off, and he's here today. You don't like that? Yeah. You don't like that?
Wow, thank you so much.
Hey. What can I say? It's a shame that it played the way that it did.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I actually did a lookalike show in front of a black audience. Because when I was working at the Waverley Hotel and Art Blakey walked in and told me that I looked like Eddie Murphy, a lot of the guys worked. A lot of the guys who were in catering at the time, they were actors and actresses.
Yeah.
And so they told me about this lookalike agency, and they sent my photograph off to the agency. And then the next thing I knew, I was promoting Beverly Hills Cops 2, not Beverly Hills Cops 1, sorry. The Golden Child, America, Coming to America. I was flown all over the world because we used to have our prices at the time, which used to sell VHSs.
Correct, our price,
And,
yes.
yeah, and Blockbusters. Remember Blockbusters?
Yes.
Yeah, so I used to have to go around all of those places promoting Eddie's films. So anytime Eddie Murphy used to release a film, a wharf of work would just come in. Yeah, work would just come in, and I just get flown all over the place. And then I was staying in hotels that was just unbelievable. I just couldn't, and then I'd have to come back to Stonebridge in a pissed up looking, you know what I mean, lift, you know what I mean, and some tramp down at the bottom.
Reality.
Yeah, man, you know, and it's hard because I remember going back into the house and saying stuff like, so why are these towels not why are the towels not changed?
Not straight, not even as straight a line.
And the toilet paper, why is it not a triangular shape? So as I, But that's how, and then I realized that Eddie was living his life like this. He was actually living his life like that. But that was to be honest with you, that was just a hobby. It wasn't something I really took that seriously.
Well, the funny thing is that it wasn't until I didn't know that you were an Eddie Murphy lookalike, and it was only after I kind of researched into you. But before that, I looked at, there was a couple of pictures I looked at you and I thought, he looks like Eddie Murphy. That pose is like Eddie Murphy. And then obviously when I researched and I found out that's what you did, I thought now it stands to reason. But in doing Eddie Murphy kind of lookalikes, did you pick up any traits that you kind of use now?
Only it's only the mannerisms and the stance. People will notice that, but because it very quickly dawned on me that you know, I mean, you are not Eddie. There's already one Eddie, and what actually happened is that I was on the way to doing some corporate work, and I left the suit on the train. So and I was meant to be introducing on Boy George, Diana Ross, and some various other lookalikes, yeah, but I had no costume. But the show must go on.
As they say.
Yeah, so I went out as myself and did it, and I got titters. I didn't get no big laughs or anything like that because they were expecting Eddie Murphy. But what it told me was that, raw, you could actually, there's something to this.
I'm all right.
Yeah, there's actually something to this. So I thought, let me try the 291. Tell me if I do that to us. Yeah,
what happened? What happened?
Well, I was introduced on the stage by Elaine. Yeah. Right? DJ Elaine.
DJ Elaine.
And she told everybody, because at the time I was a cab driver. I was driving as a cab driver, yeah. So she said to me, we got the cab driver here from Harlesden, and he's the Eddie Murphy lookalike, and he's gonna come out and he's gonna do his thing. But the thing is, I wanted to come out as a character by the name of Natty Bongo, right? Who was a Rasta man. So So yeah, but what happened? I'll tell you nothing. But what happened is that when I stepped out onto that stage, not looking like Eddie Murphy, right? Because everybody had seen me do Murphy stuff before, and they was expecting that. So when I came out, not looking as Eddie Murphy and not looking as my character, by the way, because the character that I wanted to do was a guy by the name of Nutty Bungo, as I pointed out. And Nutty Bungo was upset with the fact that society was treating us the way that it was treating us as black people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had these great big locks and everything. I had these massive glasses. I had a giant spliff that I was meant to come on stage with. Yeah. And Charlie Hanson said to me, no, you can't come out with the spliff. You can't come out with the hair like that because you're going to scare that little old lady who lives in Bournemouth. Right?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I thought, what do you mean scare this little old lady in down? I didn't know what he was talking about, but I wanted to be on TV. So I said, all right, let me get rid of the wig. Let me get rid of the glasses. Let me get rid of the spliff. Not realizing that I'd got rid of the character.
Yeah.
So the character had gone. Yeah, the character had gone. I walked out there with the same material that I was planning on doing. And it didn't take too long before I started hearing boo, 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 come off the stage, you're always boo, boo. And then at that time, because it was filmed on TV, they gave everybody placards. So they had and on the placards, you had like off. And that ruined me for like the past. After that, the next 6 years was the hardest 6 years of my life.
Really?
Because, to get back on stage, to get on stage and to perform, because it was the introduction to the black British audiences of live performers doing their thing as comedians. And I was automatically associated with booing. So when people used to see me, when we used to go to the comedy clubs and people used to see me, they go, isn't that the boy who was on the 291? Yeah, I feel you know, boo, boo. So I had to fight all of that.
Yeah.
Before I could get my material out, you know, and because I was coming from a background of actually being quite a successful individual, you know, because before the reason why I ended up cabbing was because I used to import and export food from the Caribbean. I used to wholesale it at Western International, retail it in Harlesden, you know, and I was looking to do cooked chilled meals and all of that thing. But then we had the recession in the 80s,
correct,
which caused me to have a financial breakdown. Yeah. So my outlet was the comedy. That's how I ended up opening my diary and seeing I had all these dates for comedy.
So in saying all of that, I mean, obviously black people are a hard audience to please. You know, we want something for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying they are the hardest audiences to please? Do you prefer playing in front of a white audience or your
I to be in all honesty, I prefer to play in front of a comedy audience.
So people that would appreciate comedy.
I don't really give a damn about their race or their culture, because I made that decision that I wanted to go for people's intellect. I mean, I know how to talk about, you know, I mean, your face look like when yam dry and ready for drop off a tree, or I can do that. But if I go and do that in front of white people, there are not enough. There's not enough that they can connect with to be able to say, oh, I get what you're talking about. And then because I got into comedy at the age of 28, I wanted to deal with more heavier issues, more serious subject matters that was affecting me culturally, my race as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, what was holding us back? Why is it? And then realizing that you've also got classism that's happening here. You know, when you start turning around and telling white audiences that the most uneducated people in the UK are actually white working class people, and you can actually say that to them during comedy, because that's a fact. You know what I mean? You start to realize that you can make statements with the comedy. You can actually change lives with the comedy.
Absolutely, but because it's comedy, I'm not quite sure if the white audience would truly believe that, because they actually believe they are the superior race. So for them to believe that they are the the lowest educated, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to fathom.
I agree with that, but then because you're saying it in comedy and you're saying it in jest, then they go away and they check the things that you're saying, because when they want to tell you that you're a lazy set of people, and yet for all you built the pyramids, and you want to tell me that Pythagoras came up with the Pythagoras theory, and that theory was produced by Imhotep, who produced it 2,600 years before Pythagoras was born, that then tells me that the only thing white people ever really invented was the word when you steal some people's intellectual property.
Oh, plagiarism.
Plagiarism.
Yeah.
That's all they invented, plagiarism. and they laugh at that because they know it's true.
We
When
know.
you start talking to middle class white audiences, you don't go for the hard laughs. You go for the applause breaks.
We are going to touch upon education because
Yeah.
we have a number of subjects to discuss, and
Of
one of
course.
them that you put on the table was about homeschooling. So we'll
Mhm.
touch upon that later on. But in respect to what you just said, I
Yeah.
interviewed the High Commissioner of St Kitts and Nevis
Excellent.
a few weeks ago. I had to. He does poetry, so I was
Excellent.
researching about poetry to have a conversation with him, and what I discovered was that. The earliest forms of poetry actually date back to prehistoric times with hunting poetry in Africa.
Right. So we're talking about the griots now.
So some of the earliest written poetry in Africa appears upon the pyramid text written in the 25th century BC. So
Okay.
we have formed the earliest forms of poetry.
Writing, yeah.
Yet when we go to school, we learn about Keats and all the other white poets that they are, but
Mhm.
they don't teach about who invented it or the earliest forms of it. And this is what I have an issue with. But I just wanted to mention that, and what we
No, I
will
think it's brilliant.
actually
I think it's brilliant because that's what I mean. I love the conversation and the way that it's going because
Yeah.
it incorporates so much. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because most of the inventors, when you seriously think about it, most of the inventors had to be black people, not because we wanted to be, but because we wanted to make work easier for ourselves. Yeah. So the broom, that was us. The door handle, that was us. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Anything that made life easier, but then because we were owned by our masters, that's why they were then able to patent what it is that what we invented. And so I love taking the comedy there. I really do. I like taking it there. I like exploring it. I like challenging. So I like to have a black and white audience in front of me because
Yeah.
don't think I let our black people get away with stuff. I don't.
You
I really
definitely
don't.
No, you don't, but you do bring it into comedy. And I've got a video to show later on. When we speak about homeschooling, you know, it goes towards your knowledge of history, and you kind of
Okay.
wrapped it up quite succinctly in one of your comedy routines, which I
did?
absolutely loved. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. We're gonna play it somewhat down the line. But
Okay.
just to finish up about your comedy section,
Mm.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Tell me a funny
Yeah,
joke.
no,
Rudi.
no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not. I told you already. I tried to explain to you. I'm not a clown. If you want a clown, go find one. Come in a clown. Me not clown. Me not that. No. Go away with that. Go away with that rubbish. Go away with that
Listen,
rubbish.
that's twice you've rebucked me during this interview.
Yeah,
First was on your name. Now
yeah.
it's me asking you for a funny joke. You're hard work. People
I am
tell me
hard
I'm
work,
hard
but you know
work.
what? You laughed. That's what I'm saying. You laughed despite that. So it's not a case of jumping to the beat and sort of like saying, you know what I mean? Oh, tell us a joke. So you got. I'm not jumping through hoops. That's one of the reasons why me and the BBC now get on because I mean never jumped through their hoops. You know what I'm saying? It was like you know you got to take off your tash. I'm like, why am I taking off my tash?
By the
You
way,
want to have a clean look. I don't want to have a clean look. Oh, I look like me.
by the way, for the benefit of everyone that's on, I did say Rudi had charisma. He really does. Somewhere behind all of that, there's some charisma within Rudi. Thank you.
Oh yeah. She found it. I'm gonna say hi to Empress Lee.
Hello, Empress Lee.
I knew that scaffolding would be here. Is that? Oh, that's
How could you call
here.
it scaffolding?
No, I was referring to Martin, actually. I wasn't referring to your lady. I would never say that about a lady.
Well, we could refer to Empress Lee about that because I don't know. I interviewed Empress Lee on the virtual couch many moons ago now, and she showed us the heels that she wore on Zoom at home, and they were like these 6-inch heels.
See,
so
that's
yeah.
typical. That's typical women lying about your 5'7" or 5'8", and then when you take off your shoes, you're like, what?
Comes down about 2 foot.
It's the same way like when you take off the Wonder Bra and we're like, what? So I mean, you know what?
You are in wonder. You are in wonder, isn't it?
Yeah, we're wondering where it gone. Next thing you know, it's dragging on the floor like a pendulum. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, no, man. No. There's too much false advertising going on, ladies. Too much false advertising.
Anyway, so listen, COVID kept you busy. Like for some people, it kept them at home, it got them fat, but COVID actually kept you busy. And in that time,
COVID got me fat too, man. Man, I lie.
Listen, I started putting on weight after COVID. Throughout the whole of COVID, I was this skinny little thing. It's only now afterwards I'm starting to.
No, you're still mager.
In your eyes, I'm still mager.
You are still mager. I'm sorry. You can go through the eye of a needle.
Not quite anymore. I can still squeeze them from the gap, but not through the eye of a needle. But listen, in that time, you developed how many platforms?
I actually developed 4.
Yep, 4 platforms.
Yeah, all by accident. It all started off with talking to the phone. I didn't know you could talk to the phone. Did you know you could talk to the phone?
So let's talk about the first one. Anything Goes. Now I've appeared on Anything Goes twice in consecutive
Okay.
weeks. I was tired after that. I was refusing to go
Yeah.
on for a little while after that. But that's Countryman, Shoes, and yourself. How did this whole idea come about? How did it formulate?
It formulated with me sitting at the end of the bed wondering what I was going to do, because when the pandemic actually happened, it actually destroyed my industry as a stand-up comedian, because social distancing meant that there was no way that you could entertain more than 30 people, which meant that it became uneconomically viable.
Yeah.
And so I found that I knew that Facebook Live was there, but what I didn't realize was that because everybody was at home at the time, it was like I would look at Facebook Live and then I'll go on it, and then you're like, rotted, you mean so there's nearly 200, 300 people are looking at me, wanting to hold conversation with me and stuff like that. And at first, like, they were sending things to say so that I could let them talk with me as well, yeah. And I was like, nah, I'm not pressing these buttons so you lot can talk. I will talk. Right, and then that will be it. So there's no it's not a two-way conversation. I'm just ranting about what the hell is going on. Because I actually started off with Rants and Bants, which was me ranting about how pissed off I was about the fact that I came home after being on the road for nearly 20 odd years, and I really was at home. I really was at home. Like, I'd come every weekend, I'd go away Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come back on the Sunday, rest off for maybe a day or two, and then go back on the road again. And then I found that I had to stay at home and I had to meet my family.
How was that?
Help me, Lord have mercy, help me, Lord have mercy.
No, seriously.
It was a beautiful
Seriously.
moment. In all honesty, it was the first 3 weeks or whatever, because the thing is, my wife as well, because I'm married, I joined the 3-ring circus, the engagement ring, the wedding ring. Now I'm going through the suffering, right? But it was like we were able to connect once again.
Yeah.
Because of all those years of me actually not really being there. I was there, but I wasn't really physically there.
I know. I think that was a lot for a lot of people. I mean, I worked in banking, and the people I worked with worked 20-hour days. They got home late in the evening, left home early in the morning. And I think COVID was a reset button for everybody. It was a chance to get to know your family again. And there's either going to be loads of babies or loads of divorces after this.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Let's not get it twisted. A lot of people spent their time at work, or the majority of their life at work, and being at home 24/7 would probably drive some people crazy, because you're not used to being with your partner or your children 100% of the time. And that's got to be hard.
It is, because you don't even realize that you live in a fantasy. You're living in an imaginary world that you've created in your head. And I had to come to that revelation myself, because I spend more time on the motorway than I even do in the hotels that I used to stay in. Right. So it'd be a 4-hour journey there, 4-hour journey back, kind of like thing. And during all that time when you're away, you're creating this image of what you think your relationship is, not what it actually is. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, because there's the image you have in your head in terms of what you think you're doing or what you think you're saying, and then there's the reality when you're actually told, this is what the situation really is like. And it was actually having to get to grips with that, be honest about it, and also then try to do something about it, whether it be a plus or a minus in terms of whatever the situation was. Because I'm now telling me full business, right?
No.
But whatever it was, and that's why the whole homeschooling stuff sort of comes into play, because it also gave me the opportunity to be
Spend
a
time with
part
the
of that.
kids, yeah, and see what they're learning and see what's
Yeah,
going on.
and
But
realize why I failed all my exams. You know what I mean? It was one of
oh,
those times.
and we'll come back. We're just coming up to the end of Everything Goes, and then we're going to move into the homeschooling section. But
Okay.
in
We didn't
terms
even
of
get into anything goes. I'm sorry,
no,
we didn't.
we
We just
haven't. So
no, because we
and
just got into why it really came about, and that's the whole point. That's the whole thing, is that it was because of COVID. I mean, the reason why the rants and bants thing came about was because it was relevant to the fact that I do topical material. I'm a
yeah,
topical comedian, stand up, so I talk about what goes on during the week. So we just had Matt Hancock, for example. We've just had Bill Cosby. Do you get me? We've just had all of these things going on. Now, ordinarily, I would talk about those things when I hit the stage. So the rants and bants was me in early morning, just wanting to have a conversation with people. Yeah. So it
so
wasn't anything goes. Was not the start. The start was rants and bants. The rants and bants. I do that 8:15 to 9:15 on a Friday morning. That was the first thing that I actually did.
and so it's just evolved into now Anything Goes that you've got. Now you guys have topics or discussion points on the table, and you've got a certain amount of time that you'll have those discussions, and when the bell rings, that's it. There's no more. It's the end of it. Do you ever have any, because you do ask in advance what type of questions, or we go through the questions to see if they're suitable. Do you ever have any questions that you think we're not going to ask this, or it's just not going to happen on the show?
Well, it's just like comedy. I say
Or
that there's no. I say there's no topic that should be offline, because if it's coming to your
taboo?
head as a question, yeah. If it's coming to your head as a question, then there must be a question. And the whole point of Anything Goes is that it is about consequences and dilemmas. So it's situations that you find yourself in where it questions your morals and your principles about life generally. But at the same time, I don't want it to be so serious that it's. I think there are enough podcasts that takes certain subject matter on a serious level, and I would like it to be a playground for adults.
Yeah, and I think it is a playground for adults, and I think it works. What would you say was your best episode or best guest, barring, you've bear in
Barring
mind
you,
you got me
you
up.
mean
Yeah,
barring you? What
I
was
was
up?
going to say bearing in mind you got me here, but barring me, obviously.
I think the best show that we ever had was when it was just us, to be honest, before we actually introduced the guests, because they used to try and come in and take over, ladies and gentlemen. They used to try and tell us what we're supposed to talk about, when we're supposed to talk about it. So what we decided that we would do was to alleviate this, was we would have red cards, yeah, or we would boot them off the platform. Quite simply, we got a big boot and we kicked them off the platform. Do you know anything about that at all, House Party? Do you know anything
I think I was I the
do you
only
know
one,
anything
the
about this?
quickest to be booted off?
I think you was the quickest. I think you was the.
I try not to be too controversial, but I fall into that trap through no fault of my own. It just seems to follow me.
The quickest. I mean, what we try to do basically is we try to bring all the world of the underground in terms of what's going on with Black culture. So if we're talking about radio presenters who regularly entertain us, right? This is about us taking back control of what we like to hear, what we like to talk about. I mean, growing up as a child, I never had Eamon Andrews sit down and talk to any of our singers back in the day, any of our actresses, and that was the reason why I developed the Keeping It Real podcast, which is on a Monday.
Yeah,
and that was so that we could sit down, just like Eamon Andrews had This Is Your Life. We could sit down with our people and let them tell us about their lives. I mean, on Monday I will be interviewing DJ Mystery. Mystery, you know Mystery, yeah?
Oh man, do you know how long I've been trying to interview Mystery? And I remember I saw him in Portugal last year.
Okay.
For Mikey RMP events.
Okay. Yes.
And Mystery, Mystery was them. And Mystery and I had quite a few chats, to be honest with you. And he's got a really, really interesting story.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm definitely going to tune in to that interview because he really does. And when I spoke to him and I wanted to interview him at first, he didn't want to do it because he said he wants to really concentrate on looking after the youth that's coming up. He wants to take the focus off himself
Okay,
and
which
really
he has
take
done.
time.
I give
Yeah,
him that. I give
yeah,
him that.
he has.
But this is what
And
I'm
it,
saying. I'm saying that it's these individuals. I mean, Tipper Irie was one of the first people that I interviewed.
yeah,
Because their backgrounds has had such an impact on our lives when we were growing up.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So there's all these people who are there waiting for us to delve into. You know, I mean, look at the big influence that Lovers Rock has had on us as a whole when we were growing up as kids. But who was it? Who? Eamon Andrews never interviewed them. Michael Aspel never interviewed them. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is that the whole point of the comedians that came through, especially when it came to the Real McCoy, was that we were meant to be developed into these personalities who were supposed to do just that.
yeah,
But because of, I don't want to be knocking on the door, but because it was like, you know, now you've got all these black people on TV, you know, they decided to opt for the Asians instead. So we ended up with Goodness Gracious Me, which was basically a take off the real McCoy. But it also meant that we had to become responsible for self. So I said to myself, you know, let me create my own platforms and do the shows. Instead of moaning about it, let me do the shows that I'm thinking that we're supposed to be having on TV.
and I think COVID has allowed, you know, the rise of technology and for interactive programming, because, you know, black people, we are not on mainstream TV, and I think Mo Gilligan in that comedy documentary that he did said it quite clearly about British comedians, one in, one out. There's only time for one. And it's still like that today to a certain extent. We don't dominate TV. We're still trying to tick those boxes where we have your one black person, or, you know, the whole cast of Loose Women once a month is like uproar to everybody. Where
I think on that level,
should
I'll be
not
honest with you. I'll be honest with you. You might not like what I'm going to say.
be
We only
seen as
represent 3%. We only represent. Okay. Oh, you're frozen, girl. You're frozen. Your
should be
internet not good.
trying to change
Your internet not good.
to think about. It's crashing in a little bit. Oops.
What's going on?
My internet just crashed there for a second and came back. Sorry, we're back again.
I know. Because the thing is, I was trying to hear what you were saying, but I couldn't hear a word, to be honest. It was just cutting in and out. It was cutting in and you sounded like a Dalek. Do you ever watch Doctor Who?
Several times. That's what we grew up on. Doctor Who.
You sounded a bit like Doctor Who, which wasn't your fault. It's the internet. Because like I said, it's modern technology, and it's beyond you. It's not your fault, even though you were teaching me how to do it. Remember you teaching me?
Oh, please stop doing that. You're going to tease me for the rest of your life. But I was talking about Mo Gilligan did the documentary about black comedians, one in, one out, that type of scenario. And I still think it's difficult now for black actors, black comedians to be on TV in the mainstream. And, you know, there's always uproar if we have Loose Women on, you know, we have the whole council of Loose Women being black, and people are still creating an uproar about that.
And to think that they said they wanted color TV, and when they get it, they start moaning. You got color, man. You got color. I think it's actually changed. I think you've also got to bear in mind that we only do represent 3% of the population. All right, and we're very fortunate the fact that we do live in London, and we can see such a cross section of all these different cultures. But the moment you step outside the M25, it turns very beige. Should I say it turns very white?
I know, but we still need to represent the people that are in England, whether it's 3% of the population or not. It should not be just dominated by the white population as we see it. But I think that's another subject for another day.
I think once again we're supposed to give ourselves a pat on the back, because it's not the greatest thing to say. But since George Floyd happened, there has been an outburst of color on the TV. All right. There was a time that we would be able to turn around and say "black man on TV," and everybody runs to the TV to see the either Maura Stewart or my man reading the news. Yeah. Now, if you turn on the news, if you turn on the TV, every other advert has got some mixed race couple. It's got a black person in it. I can't do those jokes anymore about no black people on TV because they're all over the screen.
Yeah,
Them all over
then
the
it,
screen.
and you
Them
kind of
all over.
noticed it. You know, kind of noticed it at one particular point. I was like, wait a minute, I
Too
just see
much.
pure adverts with
Yeah,
a whole heap of black people in.
yeah,
What's going
yeah,
on?
yeah, yeah,
And then I run to Twitter to see what all the white people have got to say
yeah.
about it.
And you can see that
Every
they're
time it
pissed off.
screams.
You can see that they're pissed off. But we know we're very much aware of the fact that it's tokenism, right? We're not fooled by that. Okay. When we start to see the directors, we start seeing the floor managers, we start seeing the producers, we start seeing the commissioners, we start seeing people in positions of power, right? That can affect policy and make real change, not a superficial change, but real change. Then we can sort of like say, okay, we've more or less arrived. But we do have to, I think we do have to accept that we are only 3%. And I would not expect to go into the Caribbean, right, and see a whole heap of white faces on the TV. I don't.
No, but but it's not the TV they rule, it's the investment aspect. Like I read the other day that the Bob Marley estate wants to start cultivating cannabis to sell for medicinal purposes, is what they say. But they've got American white investors backing all the money into it.
Yeah,
So
but that's
it
a
kind of,
different. Yeah, sorry.
it's a whole different ball game and argument, but that's what I mean about the infiltration and nothing that we call our own. I was on a network, business network discussion yesterday talking about this new digital currency called the Lumi that comes
Okay.
from Africa. Very, very
Okay.
interesting. I will
Okay.
send you the links as and when. We're not going to go
Okay.
into that right now, but I
No.
just think that we should really be cultivating our own communities, and technology allows us to do that. You know, we don't have to. It's like young people wanting to have a shop front. You don't need to do that. We've got social media, we've
That
got
is their shop
technology
front.
now, and yeah, and sell from there.
That
And
is
I
the
think
shop
that's the
front.
same for black people. Do we need British terrestrial mainstream TV when so many people are being found on YouTubes and Instagrams and TikToks? You know, we can make ourselves successful there. I mean, look at Blue Therapy. Have
I
you
watched
watched?
it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
everyone's must have watched Blue Therapy. You know,
When was the last time you gave me my things, huh? When was the
Innit?
last time?
She didn't even say gave me my tings. She
Yeah, I
actually
know.
said,
Yeah. I'm
I
being
sat there and I was
respectful of
like,
your platform. I'm being respectful of your platform, darling. But
she just said it outright. That's what I want done, and you
yeah,
haven't given it to me. What's
yeah,
wrong? And
yeah,
he
yeah.
gave up every excuse under the sun.
No, listen, man. He was right though. He was being honest with her. She was like, "When was the last time you picked me up?" He was like, "Well, when was the last time? When was the last time I picked you up? When was the last time you put down the yam?
You
That's
stop
what I
using
wanna-
palm oil.
When
You
was
had
the
to think
last
about
time?
palm
When was the
oil.
last time? You know what I mean? I thought it was some fair argument, but it also showed just how young the relationship was for me anyway, and the
Yeah.
fact that they were actually growing into what is a real relationship, as opposed to when it's all, yeah, we're gonna go party here, but yeah, we're gonna go party here, we're gonna jump in the car, we're gonna go and do this. All right, after you jump in the car and you do all them thing there, you need a place to steer, you need a real host. Yes? So now you have to save up for that. So the other
Yeah.
girl, the other girl, that one there, where she's
Yeah.
expecting the man to just keep on treating her like that, like
Yeah, yeah. I don't
But I
think many
think-
people had her back, to be honest with you.
how
She
could
didn't.
you?
No, you couldn't. You couldn't. But you know what? Respect to her, because her father spoilt her. She
Yes.
basically just said, "This is how my father treated me, and
Yeah.
my father's telling me that you want a man to treat you like how I'm treating you." So that's what she's searching for. So
Which
it's
is-
not her fault. It's
It's her
the
dad's
way
fault.
that she's been conditioned and brought up and been
But
told,
where's
like,
but at the same time, where's her common sense? At the same time, where's her common sense
But-
to
but-
know that if they're going to build a life together, that it can't be built the same way as when you're dating, courting, we used to say back in the day, but it can't be built the same way, and it has to mature and it has to grow in a different way. I can't be buying you diamonds and still buy a house.
I know,
How does that work?
but the African ideology is somewhat different to the Jamaican ideology, you know, and the way that they treat their women and spend on them and look after them. It's a whole different ball game. It really is, and they're sold that idea and given that idea. You know, African people are not poor. They don't all come
Right.
from poor families. They come from
Right.
very
I'm
rich families
100.
and tribes,
I'm
and they
100.
make money and they're into
I'm
investments.
100. I'm
Right.
100.
So you know, you can't knock them for that. So you've got the female daughters that have spawned from this generation coming into the world thinking, well, I just want a Fendi bag and a man, and I just want to sit at home and not cook and do my nails.
But it ain't
And
gonna work.
unfortunate,
It ain't gonna fly. It ain't
not
gonna
for a
fly.
Jamaican, not for a
It ain't gonna
Jamaican,
fly.
not at all. It's not going to happen.
It's not gonna fly in this. If you're living in the UK, under the conditions and the way that we were brought up, because that's the difference with an African. When they used to get married and stuff, it was a case of, well, you see that piece of land over there, sir? Are you that? Are you that? Even in the Caribbean, are you that? We can't say that over here. We can't say that over here.
But I still don't think we should limit ourselves. I think that this is a time, as you said, through the George, that we're rising. We are now awoke. We now want to make money. We want to find out about investments. We want to teach our children that. We've seen all the adverts infiltrating onto our WhatsApps about Bitcoining and all these sorts of things that are going on. And all I can say out there, people, be wise. You know, make sure if a friend has done it, a really good friend, and they're making money, then yes, jump on the platform. But don't jump onto every scam thing that's going on out there. But it is a time for us to start, we will start working within our communities and making money for our community.
This is why I'm saying that we're at such an embryonic stage. Because the thing is, the foundation that we're all sitting on is the Windrush Foundation, which now means that we are homeowners, household owners, thanks to the likes of Margaret Thatcher, who gave us that 70% discount that everybody went, thank you very much.
Thank you. I took that too. I took that.
But it's like it's almost like we've just arrived. I think Adelaide has just said just reach. It's almost like we just reached, like you said, woke. It's like we've just reached. But the other thing is that our generation, right, are now in positions of management, directors. We're in positions to make policy change. We had to grow into those positions. But through growing into those positions, there's a lot of wounded that's been left behind. So now I've reached that point where I no longer live for myself. I live for the next generation on. I live for my children. That's what it's like. It's like I've lived my life now. So it doesn't mean that I'm not continuing, but it's like now we start talking about legacy and that kind of thing. What am I leaving behind? And that's what I'm saying. I mean, one of the things that I did do, once I realized that I got into the mainstream in terms of the comedy and everything, and I realized that there was a glass ceiling, was that I set up the comedy school with Keith Palmer, right? So the comedy school, Keith Palmer's now got an MBE for the work that we did. The reason why I got the outstanding contribution to Black British comedy was because the school brought you the likes of Kojo, it brought you the likes of Kane Brown, it brought you the likes of Quincy, it brought you the likes of Mr. C, it brought you the likes of Glenda Jackson, it brought you the likes of Tanya, it brought you the likes of... So now that we have we've got this crop of comedians who are sitting there, and now we have another crop of comedians in terms of the Moes, in terms of the Axels, in terms of the, I can show you the staircase that was done through that. And that was because fortunately, I got into the comedy at the age of 28, and it wasn't just the case of, I've got to get up on stage, be an idiot. Tell a joke the moment you're asked to tell a joke. I'm like, no, I want to be part of an industry, and I want us to have a Black British industry. I'm not interested in just telling that joke. So, for example, now that COVID is coming to an end, come to July the 19th, and I was like, now we're coming out of lockdown, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to take it? So normally, in order to make it in the TV as a comedian, you would normally go to Edinburgh, right? You go to the Edinburgh Festival, and then that's where you'll be scouted and found
and spotted,
and spotted by all these TV heads. So why is it we haven't created that kind of vibe or environment for ourselves? So what I've done is, because the carnival is not going to be happening, right? I've put together the Ultimate Comedy Festival, where I've collated all of the top Black UK stand-up comedians, and I will have them in Brent on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of August. That's during the bank holiday.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so there's going to be over 50 comedians performing. Yeah, inside of a tent that holds 600 people and 300 people.
And where can people find the information for this?
They can actually find. I think I sent. I'm sure that I sent it. Can you not scroll it? Is it possible for you to scroll it along the bottom? Hold on.
Let me find it. We'll both find it.
Yeah. What I will do is I'll put it into your
send it to me very
can I send it put it into your private chat? Yeah.
No, I've got the link. I'll put it on my scroller now whilst we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something that I decided to do alongside with Mr. C, as well, because you need a team in order for something like this to actually work. And what we did was we got in touch with Brent, and went and got all the necessary licenses to hold a festival that could and would allow everybody, after the past 15 months that we've had to go through, to be able to let off in a way that they haven't done so before. And that's by meeting and, you know, being entertained by most of the comics that they've seen throughout the years, but never all in the one place. You know, I mean, I've got people like Steve K. Amos, who is big on the mainstream. You've got Dane Baptiste. He's even big. He's just as big on Channel 4. You know, Nabil Abdullah Rashid, who just was on Britain's Got Talent the other day. You know, also Delicio Chaponde, he was on Britain's Got Talent too. And, you know, I just thought that it was time that we just had a big, massive festival of our own, where we can just see all of these
showcase our talent. Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm more so I'm looking forward to as much support as I can get behind it, because it's something that's never actually been done. In truth, it's never been done. Normally you'll get a one-off event. So maybe, you know, on the bank holiday you'll have one show, and then everybody comes to that one show, and then they go away. You know, but you've never had a full day. And the thing is that over the years, doing the stand-up comedy on the mainstream circuit, I've been going out and doing these festivals all the time.
So what about having an awards? Is there an awards ceremony that celebrates black comedy?
We've had several different people put together. Yeah, but we've never. We were still at that very crab in a bucket mentality, because there was very few of us who actually made it. So everybody's trying to make it by themselves, and everybody wants to be the boss, kind of like thing. And it's so, but I think even the comedy is maturing as well, and we're beginning to realize more and more that we're more reliant on one another. We're more standing on each other's shoulders, and if we stand on each other's shoulders, that's how you build a pyramid in the first place, right? So I always say, you know, be proud of the incremental improvements that you make, and pat yourself on the back for it. You know, there were 3 or 4 different people who attempted to put on the comedy awards, but I think because it was comedians who was doing it, it wasn't as objective as it could have been.
Yeah, I understand.
You know,
but you know, we'll come back to Comedy Fest at the end. We are at actually 9 o'clock. We've done our whole hour.
I'm aware.
And we haven't even touched on homeschooling yet. You know.
No, that's fun. You know what? I think the beauty of, see, that's how I like my comedy to be. I don't like it to be that I'm going to do this joke and I'm going to do that joke and I'm going to do. I like to go off in tangents. I enjoy that.
And you know, that was one of my questions, was that, do you have a script when you have comedy, or do you improvise on the spot, or do you just add?
I have an idea of what I'm going to say, because comedy is about being in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, when you ask me to tell you a joke, I could tell you a joke, but then the thing is that joke has to stand up by itself. Yeah. I should be able to take that joke and carry it anywhere and plonk it down. So to me, I'm writing a Christmas card if I do that. But if I'm a comedian, then a comedian is somebody who's in the moment. It's somebody whose presence you enjoy. It's somebody who you actually would like to be around, because you think they're going to be a jovial person. Only that when you find out that we're quite miserable bastards, right? And we can switch on and off when we choose to. But I like the idea of exploring ideas, and I like the idea of going off in tangents, and I like the idea of questioning everything.
I'm exactly the same. Question everything.
Question it all.
I question it. Why is it done that way? I don't understand this. Why are we doing this? Why hasn't people been here? You know, it's like every workplace I went into, I joined the Black Networks. Every single job I went to, joined the Black Networks, did my volunteering stint because I worked in banking, and I thought I need to give back with whatever I'm doing. So that's what I did always. The last company, HSBC, that I left, well, my contract ended in June. And when I left, I wrote a letter to the CEO. Didn't think it would ever get answered. And it said, you know, a letter from a black employee, because I just wanted to give my experiences as a black
As a black person,
employee
yeah. I get you.
in your world that you would never ever probably get. You know, I'd never put my hands up in a forum and say this is what I think. You know, looked at their black networks, and immediately I was just like, I don't know what this is. You've got Indian people, you've got black people, and I see a couple of white people sprinkling. Is this white? Is this a black network, or is it all cultures celebrating network?
Yeah.
Question that. Question their diversity policy. Question what they did for Black History Month, and then threw it out there in that letter saying, what is this network for? Has anyone looked at this? Where is it at a management level, and why, like for LGBT days, you know, I was expecting to see a black road, you know, after
Okay.
HSBC celebrated it with the,
Yep.
you know, we had to wear lanyards, we had all sorts of courses going on. I was rubbing my hands for Black History thinking, well, we're going to get all of this, you know, and I saw nothing apart from some films and sports people.
Okay.
And I was so peeved
Yeah.
that by the time I left, I thought, that's it. I've got to do this. You know, I may never work there again. So be it. But I still have to state my opinion about how I felt, how I was treated, and how I am seen in a big company such as yours. So whether they did anything about it or not, I don't know. But I've got 2 responses, and you know, we'll see from there. But I think everybody else should try to be as brave. And I think we're too fearful of losing our jobs. That's the Windrush age legacy. On us, parents like, don't do nothing, don't say nothing, you don't want to lose your job,
Keep your head down,
keep your head down.
Yeah.
What you moving jobs for? You know, just stay, keep the one job. You know, my mum was like that, and it's just like, it doesn't have to be that way. And if I don't want to work for someone,
I think that's the thing, is that when our parents came over here, they came over here with the intention of getting a job, but and that was fine. It was like I said, it was a 5-year plan, as we said right at the beginning. But they came here with the intention of getting a job. We went to the school. We went through the school system. We're leaving with the intention of having a career.
Yeah,
that's big. That's not the same as just having a job. Do you know what I mean? We're talking about entrepreneurs. We're talking about owning. We're talking about owning things now. So that's why I'm saying we've got to give ourselves a little pat on the back. We really do, because we've shifted, and our children. If you watch our children,
and evolving,
they have evolved even more. You know,
on a different level of thinking. To us
and
as well.
I think for a lot of people, they won't see it until they've got enough time to look back and reflect and say, you know what, we've actually, because we're also, remember, we're also even behind America. We're talking about celebrating the Windrush. That's 1958.
I know.
Yeah. America was there. Look how long America has been there. We're coming from the West Indies to the UK and then start. And not only that, but we're not only starting, but we're still 400 years behind our white counterpart, only to find out that the first black Brit was the Cheddar Man. So anytime they used to tell you should go back to where you come from, you have to turn around and tell them, I just come back. Sorry, I took so long.
Cheddar Man was here.
Yeah, I'm sorry I took so long. I've just come back. Go back to where you come from. When you start doing that kind of comedy in front of white audiences, you get this.
I know, and I'm going to bring you to a little natural stop there, because I've got to bring you to this little piece of comedy that I found, and I'm just going to play this because you do know your history. You kind of know, and you know your British history, I should say. So let's watch this.
You know, and then the question I started to ask myself was then, what is it to be British anyway? Because the assumption is that British is Anglo-Saxon. Fuck off. I don't think so, man. Hey, Queen is German, St. George is Turkish, and the England football manager's got name like spit bolognese sauce. So the question was, what the fuck is British? British, I love it, British, eh? To drive a German car to an Irish pub. To drink Belgian beer while sitting on Swedish furniture, eating an Indian takeaway, while watching an American program on a Japanese TV. Now that's fucking lovely. Yeah? Culturally.
Now, I'm going to tell you a little something that...
And before that, there was a bit before that where you actually went into the British monarchy and was talking about them. And I thought I'd included that on this video. So that's my mistake, because that's the bit I actually wanted to show, where you spoke about them in the various countries where they were from. So, you know, are they actually British or not when they're so convoluted in so much European, you know, family ancestral history?
That's true. That's true. And I find that quite amusing, especially, like I said, when you're telling it to your Caucasian counterparts. But the thing is that same routine was taken by HSBC and it became an advert.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes, really.
I'm amazed. Which part of it was taken as an advert?
Where I talk about what it is to be British, and if you watch back at some of the HSBC adverts, I used to have comedians phoning me up about it.
And I think it was the part that I actually wanted to video and put forward and show you today. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Well, that's
The
I think
connections there.
I got to applaud you for taking the time out to find that, because that's where that is where my comedy basically is at. It's about being progressive. It's about trying to uplift. It's about trying to give us a level playing field. I mean, my role seems to have been one that whereby I'm supposed to be opening doors and creating pathways, because my family, the Windrush generation, have given me a foundation to stand on. So I need to build on that so that my children can now fly, and then they.
Oh. Well, I've lost Rudi there, and I'm quite live. Let's see if we can get him back shortly. He abruptly left. I felt like I removed him, but I didn't remove him. I assure you, everybody, we were having a great discussion there. So let's see if we can get him back in a second. I might play just his stand-up again, just to see if I can get him back on the stream.
And then the question I started to ask myself was then, what is it to be British anyway? Because the assumption is that British is Anglo-Saxon. Fuck off. I don't think so, man. Eh? Queen is German, St. George is Turkish, and the England football manager's got a name like spit bolognese sauce. So the question was, what the fuck is British? British, I love it, British, eh? To drive a German car to an Irish pub. To drink Belgian beer while sitting on Swedish furniture, eating an Indian takeaway, while watching an American program on a Japanese TV. Now that's fucking lovely.
So in the meantime that you disappeared there, I felt like I was talking a whole load of nonsense and you decided to just disappear.
I didn't. What happened was the internet just kicked me out for some reason.
And you were laughing at me earlier on. At least I stayed in.
I think
stayed in.
But it's your platform. It's not my platform. It's your platform. It's your platform. It's you. Let me go.
It's your internet, man.
No, my internet is salad. My internet's salad, you know.
I was standing there. I was standing there thinking, I feel like a comedian now. Got to make a joke or something. Let me just rewind and play this Rudi video. So
you know what? That's what I love, when people want to challenge you as you're a comedian. And what we used to do was we used to say, "All right, then. So I'm no good at it. Let me tell you something. Yeah, come here, and the person would come, you know. And then you get them on the stage, yeah, and you go, "All right, here, tell a joke now."
No.
Yeah, you put them on the spot. You put them right on the spot. Yeah, and when you give them the mic, what you do is you walk away and you leave them. Yeah,
and then you see the handshake, innit?
Yeah, the handshake. the mouth will go dry. They'll tell their first joke, or what they think is their first joke. Yeah, they might get a response. Then after that, you watch their eyes glaze over. Yeah, then you start watching the cold sweat come down. Yeah, because they ain't got a clue. How about what it really takes to entertain people? Because it's not like you've got any music underneath you. You don't have anybody else on the stage to hide behind. There is no fourth wall. So when you got a fourth wall as an actor, you can just act and people just watch. Stand-up comedy is interactive. Stand-up comedy is like tennis. It goes backwards and it goes forwards, right? I mean, I like watching men. I don't like watching men play tennis because they make tennis like they're making love. Just boof, boof, over, done. Whereas women like to tease, you know.
No, men's is like, it's proper.
And now it's done. It's finished. It's finished. That's it. It's finished. Finished. Over. Right? So there's got to be this interaction going on, and not only that, but it's immediate. You know immediately if something has happened or it hasn't happened. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think what I love about black comedy or black British humor is the vibe is just as important as what you say. If you can get into the vibe, then you can get away with a lot. If you can't there are times when you go out there and you don't feel the vibe. Lord have mercy. You're cool. Listen, and the place just still. Because I watched you the other day when you were hosting.
Oh gosh, I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. You spied the people at the wedding, didn't it?
that was that was
No,
that
you
was
did really
pure
well.
spontaneity
You
because
did really
Sharky
well.
DJ had gone up there to do the music.
Yeah.
And the groom came up and said, "We need to announce, you know, the dinner for the tables." And Sharky said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
just ask Alison."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, all right, I'll do it." And then because it was really quiet and everyone just
Yes.
come back from the church,
Yeah.
and I thought I can't just talk about going and telling everyone to go and get food. So I thought, let me just rock up and
You started
improvise.
going fasting on people's tables,
So I
Gerard.
start fast on people's tables,
Yeah,
start
it was
talking
good.
to everybody.
It was good.
But at one point, I got to one guy, and I remember saying to him, "Oh, you know, you look like you don't want to talk to anyone." And
Uh-huh.
his face was dead straight, deadpan. You know, when you can't get nothing out of someone, you
Yeah.
got to move on, shift
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
It's just shift really quickly, but try to
Yeah.
make a little joke, try to crack a
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah.
His face didn't move, and I thought,
Yeah.
let's just move on. Let's find something funny quick. Who
Yeah.
looks funny? So I got to give it up to you guys that do the entertainment and comedians, because you know you might have to focus on someone in the audience that might be giving you a laugh, or you know, to
Mm.
speak to someone that might be pretty much
But the
engaging. Because if they're not,
other difference is that we don't actually go up to the tables.
I'm just
Yeah.
nosy like that, as you know.
We
Innit?
don't actually physically
Start
walk
asking
up.
business
We
like,
actually have to stay on the stage and we project from there. So there's so many other skills because you've actually got the skills, but you haven't got no technique, and that's all I picked up on. But your personality does most of the work for you on your behalf anyway. And you've never had to really. Why should you think about why should I tell a joke when you've got enough personality within you to hold a conversation? A good comedian is like having a conversation with people, and there are laughs along the way.
you're absolutely correct in that. Yeah, and I like the analogy of that also. Sorry, it was just going through my head just thinking about it for a second. I like that. You know, and just in talking to you today, I realized there's so much more about you. I've met you doing Anything Goes podcasts, and you know, you have your assumptions about people, but actually in speaking to you today, I realized there is so much more about you. You do have so much more depth and knowledge and the desire to help so much more in your community, especially after spending a year at home with the wife and kids. You know, it's been indoctrinated
Anybody
into
would want to help other people.
in it. Kick me out, please. I want to help other kids. I've had enough of mine.
No, it's always been my thing to do, and the thing is that each podcast shows a different side of my nature. That's the whole point of it, really, was to show different shades and allow other people to express themselves and show that I can also express myself with other people, and at the same time give them room to do what they do. But and then the whole thing with Saturday was to be able to do, have quiz questions and do quiz things in relation to us, because there's been too many times I watch quiz shows and I'm like, you know what, the questions that you're asking is fair enough, but we can't relate to some of the questions we can't relate to. Do you know what I mean? If I was to ask you, when is yam ready? When is it the time for you to pull it out the earth? And I look at a white person, they go, I don't know,
Well, I don't know.
But then this is the thing, that's because we're English, but it's like there's certain cultural things that we like, and we can have quizzes about ourselves, and that's what we try to do on Saturdays. It's really about getting to grips with what it is to be Black British, and what are we? How do we come about? Why are we here? We do have history. In fact, it goes so far back to the point where we get to the Cheddar Man, but we don't know all of this. And it's being able to bring all of these things to the surface so that we get some sense of pride, because ultimately, as you did point out earlier on, the world has actually shrunk. The internet has shrunk the world, and we should be trading, as you pointed out earlier on again, with our counterparts around the world, because that's what the Chinese do, that's what the Indians do, that's what our European cousins do. They're all trading and doing stuff with each other, but we're told we're not encouraged to do that. But we're finding ourselves now.
Yeah, absolutely. And wherever the Chinese go and the Indians go, there's Indian schools and Chinese schools for them to teach their own children about the culture.
Yeah.
And we do have Black schools. Growing up, I've got to admit, my mum did her very best to get us into Saturday school to learn about Black culture. I resisted the hell out of it.
Okay.
And so I grew up, what I would say, indoctrinated into the British culture. You know, it was on TV. That's what I learned. That's what I
what life
blinkered
should be
against.
like.
Yeah, I was blinkered, and I just did this and thought, right, that's it. I'm British. This is my culture. This is what I do. It's only since getting older and being a little bit more educated and learning, being around and mixing with different people, and obviously this whole woke period has got me thinking, well, hang on a minute, where you been this past 40? Where you been this past? Actually, where you been this past 21 years? Because I'm only 21, right? So where you been this past 21 years in this term of thinking? And so now I'm a little bit more driven in terms of my own Black culture and celebrating it and wanting to learn more about it. And you know what you touched upon in the subject that we're supposed to talk about was homeschooling. You know, you obviously spent time with your kids. Learning about what they were learning at school. I was actually a teaching assistant and was actually astounded at what I saw in schools, and that's another subject. But we don't learn about Black history in schools, and it's travesty, to be quite honest with you. It really, really is. When you think about the whole curriculum and how they're trying to introduce gender, you know, and that you can be in the yeah, I know they're pushing that agenda more so than learning about Black history. You know, and I feel like we need a whole different discussion on homeschooling and what we think about that. And I think a lot of Black people are now moving towards it because they can see the benefits of teaching their children at home. Because you don't have to, we have to follow a school curriculum in order to pass certain exams. But there's so much more you can teach children, and what you've got to understand
you
is
can
that
teach them real life skills, for example. That's what you
life skills.
Things that are good, that are going to be. I mean, when was the last time you said to yourself, what's a Bunsen burner for, or what is the color of? You know, there were. I mean, I remember having the rules slider before we had calculators and stuff like that. You know, it's like abacus. Give us, teach us things that we're going to need in the real world. You know, but then the thing is that the way that schools were designed initially was they were preparing people to come out and go into the factories.
Yeah.
You know, and the ages have changed. We've come out of the mechanical age. We've come out of the scientific age. We've gone into the we're now in the computer age. It's things have moved on. We went through automation, and this was like during my lifetime. You know, robots can now work in warehouses, so even warehousing jobs are going. Do you know what I mean? So it's where does your mind have to be? It has to be in terms of technological advancement. So when it comes to things like homeschooling, you've got to it's understanding that you need the vision. You need to have vision in terms of where we're actually where this world is going.
Well, and I think that school conditions you to put yourself in a path of where they want you to go into.
Yeah, that was deliberately designed to do. That's what it was designed to do.
Absolutely. That when I think about the choices that were given to me when I was at school, they were very limiting in accordance to what my white counterparts were being offered and given. And I actually did a little bit of research into homeschooling, and I read some research, and I think there was a writer, I think it was Carson, said the potential explanations put forward for the decline in the performance of Black pupils, particularly the Black Caribbean pupils, and hence the ethnic gaps, include the quality of schools attended by pupils from different ethnic groups, low teacher expectations of Black pupils in English schools,
that's regular,
and perceived low returns to educational qualifications in a prejudiced labour market. Well, and the researchers suggest that school quality makes a difference to outcomes, even after taking into account students' social and economic circumstances. They argue furthermore that disadvantaged students and minority ethnic students are likely to attend worse performing schools, which in turn affects their performance adversely. So along the whole route, we're doomed to fail. That's what that explanation is telling us. And that's what we are trying to tell everybody, and that they can't see that Black children are being set to underachieve. They've been targeted as well.
But that's all been designed from the time when the Windrush generation came over and they decided what borough and where we were going to live. It dictated what kind of school you was going to go to, and therefore the quality of teachers was going to be a reflection of that. I remember when because the thing is, I was, as fortunately being a comedian, it meant that I was in a position to raise my children. And when I say raise them, I'm talking about Wifey goes to work. I'm at home with the kids.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm taking them to
Yeah.
nursery school. Yeah. So I was in a position to be able to do that. So by the time they actually went to school, especially my second child, she knew her alphabet. She knew how to count, blah, blah, blah. She then went into nursery school. Within 3
Yeah.
months, that was all white. And then when I went and I spoke and I complained about it, they then told me my expectations were too high. And I went, raw. You mean your expectations are low, not my expectations are too high? Because if I go into Hampstead, for example, that is what they're expecting. When you go into Hampstead, they've already it's already the degree is just an expectation that they don't even think about, because you're supposed to get that. Whereas we applaud if you get that. And I'm not saying we shouldn't applaud. We should applaud, but I'm saying the expectations are totally different. That is you automatically, that's just a done deal. That you're gonna have the degree. You get me? And you're gonna go do further. It's just done. For us, it's not. And then when you look at the industrial estates that where we're housed and where we're around, we're supposed to fill those jobs for those industrial estates. So when you go to the job centers, that's what you see. The jobs are a reflection of the expectations that they have from the schools, and it's the industries that tell the schools what they want them to teach them in the schools, so that when they come out of the schools, this is what we've got for you.
Yeah, that is the whole cycle. That is completely the cycle. So how are we going to break that cycle? We need to just keep on educating our children, keep them at home. Do you think homeschooling works better than putting them in mainstream school?
I think that's what I'm very mindful of and very careful of is trying not to tell people I'm a comedian. Well, all right, let me tell you the truth, right? I'm
You're
what they call
parent.
a social. I'm a parent.
You're a parent first.
But I'm a parent first, but I'm a social commentator. So I do comment on social issues, but I don't tell people what they should or shouldn't be doing. I give people options. Yeah, and I will say that there are alternative ways of doing things, but I can never say, because everybody's circumstances are so different. The way that life is nowadays, sometimes there are parents who cannot afford to do otherwise than what they are doing. There are single parent families who just cannot cope with certain scenarios. I know that women are strong, and some of them have grown dicks to us because they feel that
two of them too.
Their clitoris has become a penis extension when in actual fact it's not. They're still women, right? But there's only so much that we can do, and we have to get the best out of whatever scenario or situation that we find ourselves in, and it's just having that knowledge of self, i.e., like you said, you did your history and everything. That knowledge of doing that allows you to elevate, allows you to think beyond what is being shown in front of you. So it's, first of all, the parents need to educate themselves. Then once a parent is educated, they can then pass that down to their child, their children, and then they will lead them onto the path that they want them to go on. Because the first role models are your immediate and nuclear family.
Parents,
They are. They're not your footballers. They're not your Raheem Sterlings. They're not. Those guys are a good reflection of what we were able to achieve. But the first role model is mum and dad.
And I think that the portrayal of footballers is a poor portrayal, because they don't really understand the statistics of people that want to be a footballer versus the ones that actually get through.
Yeah.
And what do you do if you create an injury in your earlier years? Your aspirations are to become a footballer, and you get that injury that just knocks you sideways. And so a lot of people have to have a contingency plan, and that's what we need to teach our children also, is contingency planning.
Yeah, but it's like when you said that, what are the sort of things that should be taught in school? It's managing your money. It's about investments.
Life skills.
It's about real life skills. It really and truly is. Now, I was hoping that you would have played my my cube. All right, because believe it or not, what I do have to do is I've got a guy on the street pretty soon.
Yes. Well,
And
it's 9:30 now. We've spoken for an hour and a half.
and I've got to get some. I've got to put up some. I'm legally binded. I'm legally bound to put up notice for the comedy fest. And I've
Okay.
got to go on the park it's going to be held in. So, and I have to do that by a certain time, or it's not going to happen.
No, and that's fair enough. I think I've kept you long enough. I didn't expect this interview or this chat, I should say, to go on for so long, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I hope
Well,
you
thank
have
you.
too, Rudi.
Thank you. I actually did. I tried to look for it where it was online, and it's not. Is it under HPQ? Is it under House Party Queen? Is it house? What is it under?
For my Facebook, it's HPQ 2020. That's what it's under.
Okay.
And for YouTube, yeah, it's under my account in YouTube because I've got both of them up.
HPQ 2020 H.
For Facebook, yes.
HPQ 2020, yeah.
Yeah.
I
couldn't get House Party. I couldn't get House Party Queen, unfortunately.
No, it gone. Yeah, I was looking for it, and I said, no, it'd be a bit rude to ask in the middle of the show, where is it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you should have done. I would have put it up on the ticker, everything.
Okay,
Instead, I've got find out more information about Rudi and his comedy fest.
Well, I found it now, so. Oh, I can see myself.
Okay, now you can. Good. Well, listen,
Oh my God, I didn't realize I had so many blackheads. Why didn't you tell me?
Tell her to squeeze them.
You should have told me, man. God damn it.
You're right. Your glasses look good, though. I like the glasses. I like that style there.
Okay. Cool.
But in that picture in the background, you look like Eddie Murphy in that picture in the background.
I look like a dad. I mean, let's keep it real. That is my grandson, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's his mother. That's my eldest daughter.
Do you know? I thought that was your wife.
And that's my youngest daughter.
I thought that was your wife because I was looking at it and I was thinking, oh gosh, she's so gorgeous.
No,
that's
my eldest daughter.
You produce some gorgeous children. Honestly, you have done, and you have been an excellent guest, Rudi. I've thoroughly enjoyed this chat. We could go on for hours. You know that, don't you? But
yes,
we
I'm
both.
very much so. That's why I asked for the cube so that I can get away, so that I can go and keep my dream alive. I need to keep my dream alive. And I've got to go and like I said, I've got to go and put these notifications up because you've got to put notifications around the area, so as that people can say yes or no.
That's like in Carnival when I was doing the sound systems. They've got to put notices up to say that they're going to be playing around the area. Yeah. All to do with risk assessments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to delay you anymore, Rudi. Apart from to say this was absolutely fabulous.
Are you going to play my cube? Are you going to play my cube?
Where is it? Have you got the cube? Did you send it to me?
I'm sure I sent you the cube.
Oh gosh.
Did I not send it to you?
Don't beat me up. Don't beat me
up.
I'm
not gonna. I just asked.
I don't think. I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah. So in other words, so you didn't download it at all then? Is that what it is? You didn't download it.
No, okay. I'm just checking actually. No, you didn't. The cube. Was that about your comedy?
WhatsApp.
Yeah, you did. If you give me 2 seconds, right?
You could do it as a share, and then you could do it that way.
I can. If you give me 2 seconds to load everything up, I can make this happen. I can redeem myself.
Of course you can.
Slightly.
You know what? Do you know the amount of times, especially when I do Anything Goes, yeah, and or even stuff. Mainly when I do 15 minutes for DJ Countryman on a Saturday morning. And I'm downloading stuff and I'm talking to people. They don't realize. And I'm sitting there.
You're doing stuff in the background.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, it must can happen. It must can happen. I know it can happen. That's what I'm saying in my head, right? And this time I'm downloading, and I can see the thing downloading, and I'm waiting for it to come in. And then either sometimes I've either just missed the moment or I've just caught the moment. So sometimes I might be 2 or 3 minutes behind where we were talking, which was the right time to drop it. If you get what I mean.
I know, and even you were doing really, really well now. Whilst I'm trying to furiously download this.
Oops. No, I think it's I think, like I said, it is a skill because, but you're a lady anyway. Multitasking is your thing.
Yeah, and
Multitasking is your thing.
Don't
And,
worry, I just did that, and I'm just about to go and find the video now because,
is it?
you know, as you said, us ladies can multitask.
Yeah, you can. You can. You
Yeah,
can.
yeah, 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 yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, 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 yeah. This one I better do with the jabata. Me, I no get time, I did da. Dada cover my face, calling me like ba.
Oh,
I
you got
love
it in
that.
there. Well done. I gotta give you that. I gotta give you that. Well done, man. You actually did. You actually downloaded. You actually presented.
I kept talking all the way through that.
Talking all the way through that. So
I'm
that's
telling
magic.
you.
That's magic. You know what I mean? There's not many. There's not many who can do it. Trust me.
Um,
Ask Countryman to do it. If I even ask Mr. Martin Winter, ask him to do it. See what he'll tell you. He'll say, no, I'm working in the background now. I'm working in the background now.
You didn't send it to me in advance. I can't do it.
Yeah. He would just totally get lost. So, you know, whereas you managed to able to do all that. I mean, I've had people like email you stuff or they WhatsApp you stuff right in the middle of your show, and they think you can just put it up just like that, and you're like, boy.
Listen, I was on a business. This is the last words. I was on a business networking event for Canada. I was hosting. Started at midnight UK time, and I kid you not, 1-2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I've sent you a presentation. Can you ensure you share this and add this to the presentation? And it's in 5 minutes. And I'm sitting there trying to host, trying to download and present and do everything at the same time. So yeah, it's a little bit of a skill. People think it's really easy, and it's not. You know, talking for 3-4 hours.
No,
wow.
No, that's easy for you. That's the easy bit for you. That's the... I'm not gonna lie, but
I'm so conscious that of the time now. It's coming up to 20 to 10. I'm supposed to go and help my father do something. So let me run myself. Thank you so much, Rudi. You have been an excellent guest. I now know you just a little bit more. So, you know, if you ever put me back on Anything Goes podcast, it's going to be an interesting
you'll
ride.
Definitely be back. Come on, man. You know you're going to be back. And we'll kick you off. And make sure you bring back the Tupperware, yeah?
Listen, you know that Tupperware came to the wedding, right? I haven't even revealed the pictures I've got from the wedding. It's at the wedding table and everything. So that's still got to come up. But that Tupperware story has not ended. It's just left me for a little bit. But as and when I can encourage the Tupperware to come out with me, it will do.
Excellent.
But Rudi, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for listening to Discussion Point. And we will talk soon. Rudi, take care. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you again. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. This is the end of Discussion Point. Thank you so much for tuning in this week with myself, the House Party Queen, and Rudi Lickwood. Thank you, guys, and good night.